Good evening, and welcome to a rare Saturday edition of Talking Sports with Evan. I'm Evan with Tallison, and lots to talk about here today on this rare Saturday edition. The reason why it's a rare Saturday edition, because typically I'm working on Saturday, so I'm usually already at work, getting ready to get the work day started. But off today for some Raider football later on tonight. And if you are in the Racine, Kenosha, Milwaukee area, head on down to Horlick Athletic Field and check out the Racine Raiders take on the River City Rough Riders. I'll be on the call for the TV and radio broadcast of that game. You can listen to it at WRJN website. Go WRJN 1400, 99.9, 98.1, and you can listen to it live there, or you can go to the Racine Raiders website and find the live stream there as well. I also want to let you all know that Bucked Up, some of the best nutrition supplements that are out there, they are having a 40% off sale on everything on their website. Pre-workouts, protein powders, apparel, any nutritional supplement that Bucked Up has, they're having it at 40% off. And you can benefit from that by going to their website. And when you go to purchase your item, put in the promo code Talking Sports 25, and you'll get that 40% off. Best pre-workout there is. I love their protein powders. I love their energy drinks. They have a new lightly carbonated protein drink. Just the best products that I have tried when it comes to sports nutrition products. So go to Bucked Up's website, and when you go to check out, go to put in promo code Talking Sports 25. Bunch of things I want to get addressed here today on today's show. The Brewers, Jacob Misiorowski continuing to dominate. Another ridiculously good start from the rookie phenom. Going to talk a little bit about that. Going to talk some Milwaukee Brewers in general, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing right now from this Milwaukee Brewer team. Going to address a trade rumor that came out for the Milwaukee Bucks that I saw that involves the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Caitlin Clark. I'm going to talk about Caitlin Clark and the upsetness, the pissed offness, the angry, everything that you see with the WNBA. Whenever something remotely happens with Caitlin Clark, people tend to lose their mind. And then Jair Alexander's situation. He's now with the Baltimore Ravens, and his dad has now come out and spoke, and going to kind of give my thoughts on that a little bit too. But I'm going to start off with the Milwaukee Brewers. And first, you can find Talking Sports with Evan on iTunes and Spotify for the audio version. You can find the video version on my Facebook page, Talking Sports with Evan, on my YouTube, Talking Sports with Evan, and on my X account at Evan Witt Sports. Find the live video shows on one of those three platforms. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and be alerted anytime I go live for my show. And I will have a guest on my show next week, a frequent guest around this time of year with the MLB draft coming up. Going to have Danny Zielinski coming on the show to talk MLB draft and the Milwaukee Brewers and some guys that you need to know for the Brewers possibly taking in the 2025 Major League Baseball amateur draft. So now on to the Milwaukee Brewers and Jacob Misiorowski. And I always felt that Jacob Misiorowski was going to be a special pitcher, especially if he could figure out the walks. In his minor league career thus far, Jacob Misiorowski walked a lot of people. He's got under control this year in the minors, and now he is at the big league level. I know there were a lot of people clamoring to have him brought up earlier this year when they kept yo-yoing Logan Henderson and they kept yo-yoing Rodriguez and Anderson and all those guys back and forth from the minor to the big leagues. And the question was, why not Jacob Misiorowski? Well, the thing is, they wanted Jacob Misiorowski as a rotational piece moving forward for the rest of the season. They didn't want to bounce him back and forth between minor leagues and major leagues. They wanted to, when they called his name, they wanted him to stay. And he's definitely shown and earned the right to stay at the major league level, as he has been completely dominant over 2 starts. He went 5 hitless innings in his first career start. He went into the 6th inning hitless, not allowing a hit in his first career start. And then just last night, he went into the 7th inning with a perfect game before giving up a walk and then a 2-run home run before leaving the game. And there's a strikeout that he had in this game. I think it was the bottom of the 1st inning, final out of the 1st, and he put the batter on his butt the way he swung it. You can go to Pitching Ninja on X. You can go to the Milwaukee Brewers social media accounts. You can go to Dominic Catronio, the Brewers Extra Innings and Brewers Warm-Up host. You can go to any of their X account. I've retweeted it, and you can see Jacob Misiorowski force a guy with the swing to literally fall on his ass. He throws 100 plus numerous times, and there's a stat that was mentioned by who I mentioned before, Dominic Catronio, with Jacob Misiorowski. Most 100-plus pitches in a game this season. Hunter Green had 32 on April 2nd, and Misiorowski had 29 pitches of 100 or more last night. Awesome stat. He began his career with 11 straight hitless innings, the longest streak to start a career exclusively as a starter since 1900. Again, 1900. Meaning Misiorowski's done stuff through his first 2 starts that have never been done since 1900. Well over 100 years. Looking for some other fun stats that came out with Jacob Misiorowski. But yeah, there's just the things he's able to do throwing the baseball, keeping guy. And the thing is, he's not just a power pitcher that can throw 100 plus mile per hour fastball. He's got a nasty slider. He's got a changeup that hits mid 90s consistently, and he's got a pretty nasty curveball. And the slider was the one that put the number 3 hitter in the 1st inning on his butt. And I'm liking what I'm seeing. And I'm not gonna jump up and down and overhype and make him the anointed one, because you know what, guys are gonna adjust, and Misiorowski's gonna have to adjust to the adjustments guys make against him. And the thing is, right now, as long as his control is not a problem, as long as he's able to attack the zone with his pitches, he's going to be a problem for the rest of Major League Baseball. And I very excited seeing what Misiorowski has done through his 2 starts. And the thing is, this is what they wanted to do with him all along. Now he's going to have a next start either Wednesday or Friday. And it could be Misiorowski versus Paul Skeens. Talk about the hype around that matchup. 2 of the most intriguing pitchers that baseball has seen in quite some time going head to head. And the thing is, we're going to see a lot of that moving forward. Maybe we don't have to see Skeens up on the hill against Misiorowski on Wednesday, because we're going to have a long time to see those 2 go head to head. Misiorowski, I'm happy to see that Pat Murphy put him up for that 7th inning at 80 pitches, or right under 80 pitches. But the Brewers offense kind of did him in a little bit. The Brewers offense in the top of the 7th inning just completely broke the game wide open and had a 25-minute inning. And I think the 25 minutes of sitting on the bench, waiting to go back out there, kind of did Mizorowski in. So typically you want to score a lot of runs in baseball, but the Brewers scoring a lot of runs yesterday really did kind of did him in a little bit. But I'm excited to see what Mizorowski does next against either the Rockies or the Pirates, depending on what they decide to do with him for his next start. Do they put him on typical rest, or do they give him an extra day? With a young pitcher, you tend to be more cautious, but we'll see what they do. And moving on to the Milwaukee Brewers in general. The Milwaukee Brewers, I got to find the correct stat. Again, thanks to Dominic Cotroneo. Through May 17th, the Milwaukee Brewers are 21-25, and they are having their series finale against the same Minnesota Twins. Since that Sunday finale, the Brewers are 20-10 and have the best record in the National Leagues in that time. And I've been hammering the drum that with baseball, you got to be patient. You got to, don't overreact to good or bad. Just let the dust settle, and things are going to settle where they go. Cream is going to rise to the top. And the Brewers, what we saw through the first month and a half of the season, to me, wasn't the Milwaukee Brewers that we were going to see come June, July, and August. Back in April and May, guys were not hitting. Yelich was batting in the 100s. Ortiz was just broke the 200 mark. Jackson Cheerio was struggling at times at the plate. But since that May date that I mentioned where they're 20-10, Christian Yelich is on a tear. He had 8 RBIs last night. First player in baseball history, I believe, to have 8 RBIs in a game without hitting a home run. And the other fun fact, he had 8 RBIs in the game, and he didn't himself get credited with any runs scored. So he got 8 RBIs, and none of them were him hitting home runs and touching. He never got driven in after. Yelich has been batting outstanding. Jackson Cheerio has really got hot. And this is around the same time last year where Jackson Cheerio really took off, and we're seeing it again. And he had 3 walks yesterday. And then like some people in media, I don't care if he walks 3 times in a game. I don't care if he walks 0 times in a game. Jackson Cheerio is just completely dominating right now. Extra base hits like crazy, getting on base, stealing bases, putting pressure on the defense with his base running ability. Look, yes, it's nice to have him take pitches and walk every now and then, but the walks aren't the end all be all like some people who we know try to make it out to be. The 3 walks again yesterday were great, but the double that scored runs, the run score that he had, those are what matter to me. I know the walks are going to come. He's 21, and he's still developing what kind of big league player he's going to be. And we're seeing Jackson Cheerio explode and get red hot once again, like he did last year around this time. Again, Yelich is red hot. Cheerio's red hot. Joey Ortiz is red hot. Caleb Durbin is red hot. And all the talk from everybody through the first month and a half of the season that the Brewers could just get anything from the bottom of their batting order, that would be outstanding if they could just get anything out of that bottom of the order. And yesterday, give me 1 second to pull up those stats. I should have had these in front of me, but I'm kind of some of the things I'm talking about, I'm coming up with kind of here on the fly. Caleb Durbin, 2 for 4. Joey Ortiz, 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Collins, 1 for 3. That's the bottom 3 of the batting order that we kept talking about, that if that bottom part of the batting order could get going, the Brewers offense could be even more explosive. And the thing is, yes, the Brewers are red hot right now. They're getting games on the Twins, but they're going to have another cold stretch. They're going to get cold again. Hopefully not today. It's too dang hot to get cold today. But they're going to have another cold stretch where guys aren't getting on base like they are right now. But the big thing is don't overreact to the roller coaster and just enjoy the ride. And I said prior to the start of the year, I'll say again, I think the Milwaukee Brewers are a playoff team. Now, this year will likely be a wild card, but because the Cubs are very good. Now, their bullpen isn't very good, but the Cubs overall are very good. But I think the Brewers are a playoff team, and I think they're going to be in the playoff race all the way till the very end. But with that said, now becomes a conversation. What do the Brewers do come trade deadline? Do they stand pat, or do they trade away assets to try to make a big push in the second half of the season? And I'm under the opinion is they need to stand pat. Let's just let the season play out as it is. Let's just let the season go as it is, and however the dust settles, the dust settles. What I do not want to do is trade some of your very high-end prospects that are going to be in the show in the next couple years, next year or two. I don't want to trade those guys. And Jesus Made, for example. I do not want to trade him for a rental piece that's going to be gone once the season's over. I do not want to do that. I want to let the young guys grow, let the young guys develop, and you have a very solid core to potentially be legitimate. I can't talk today. Playoff championship baseball team in the next 2 to 3 years if you continue to let the young guys grow and develop. There's a lot of prospects coming up, and we'll find out some of those names on Tuesday when Danny's on the show once again. We're going to find out who some of those prospects are, but there's a lot of good prospects in the Brewers farm system that are coming. They're a year away, 2 years away, 3 years away, and that's going to be a window of baseball right there where the Brewers can just completely be a legit contender. I don't want to make a huge trade again for a 3-month rental because the thing is, the Brewers, as fun as the Brewers are to watch, they're not going to win a World Series this year. They're just not. The Dodgers, the Giants, the Cubs, the Phillies, just better overall. I know the Brewers swept the Phillies back in May, but those are the teams that they're going to have to compete with in a 3-game and a 5-game and a 7-game series. And I just don't know if the Brewers have enough right now, even with getting a 3-month rental, to push yourselves over those teams. And I think with Mizorowski, with Quinn Priester, with Logan Henderson, with those guys, I think they have a team. And don't forget Chad Patrick. With those guys, they have a pitching rotation that can be very good for a long time. And then bring me on to my next point, Freddie Peralta. He's still young. He still has another year under contract. And I hope that the Brewers, he wants to be in Milwaukee. I hope the Brewers accommodate him. I know they weren't negotiating with him right now, but I hope the Brewers accommodate him. I hope they accommodate Freddie Peralta and figure out a way to keep him in Milwaukee long term. He loves it in Milwaukee. He wants to stay in Milwaukee. Let's keep him in Milwaukee. That's my thought there on Freddie Peralta. But big things coming for the Brewers. This season's been fun. It's going to be to quote Mark Antanasio, a summer of fun at the ballpark, and I'm excited for it. But like I said, I don't want to mortgage the future for 3 months of a rental piece to just get bounced in the playoffs once again. So those are my Milwaukee Brewers thoughts. And I know I threw a lot out there. What are your thoughts on Mizorowski, on the Brewers? Do you want to see the Brewers make a huge trade to upgrade at third base or at the offensive position as an offense at shortstop? Or do you want them to just stand pat and wherever the chips fall this year, they fall? I want them to fall wherever they fall. Moving on, Milwaukee Bucks. Saw this rumor come up, and a couple things I want to address here. First of all, can national media stop with these are good trade destinations for Giannis? If Giannis were to leave, these are trades that they should consider. Giannis is not going anywhere. And the majority of these trades that you people are putting out there is not enough for Giannis. Bane got 4 draft picks? Bridges in New York warranted 5 first-round draft picks. Giannis is up here. I know you can't see my hand anymore. Giannis is here. Bridges and Bane are, you can't see my hand the other way. There's a huge gap between Giannis and Bridges and Bane. And if those guys warrant 5 and 4 first-round draft picks, Giannis warrants 9. Just being honest. And maybe I'm being a homer here with Giannis and saying how much value he would have with the trade, but Giannis warrants roughly 9 first-round draft picks. Like, John Horst better get everything he possibly can in a trade if the Milwaukee Bucks were to decide to move on from Giannis. But here's the thing. It's not happening, so we don't have to keep talking about it every week like we have been since the Bucks season ended. Can't we enjoy the NBA Finals? Can't we have a Game 7 coming up tomorrow? Can't we enjoy the NBA playoffs and the NBA Finals without talking about if Giannis were to leave, if Giannis were to ask out? Giannis, it's been the talking point from the national media each and every year since 2018 or 2019. And guess what? Giannis has not left. He's not leaving this offseason. He's not leaving next offseason. The only way Giannis is leaving is if he allows his contract to expire and he wants to go test the market to see what other opportunities are out there. But Giannis is not going anywhere, so just stop it. And one of the trade rumors that I saw involving the Bucks is the Bucks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder have 2 first-round picks this year. The Oklahoma City Thunder are also a very young team that don't really need the draft picks anymore. They're a young team. They're developing around one another. They don't really have the roster spot for those 2 picks. The Milwaukee Bucks have their own first-round pick in 2031 and 2032. Between there's a bunch of pick swaps here and there. But one of the rumors I saw, the Bucks trade the 2031 first-round pick for the Oklahoma City Thunder's 2 first-round picks this year. And the question I was asked, and the question I saw on social media is, would you do it? And yes, I would definitely make that trade because the Oklahoma City Thunder could look at about 2031 with their young core that they have. Right around that time is probably the time they need to start looking at acquiring more assets. They don't need any more draft picks now. They need draft picks in the future when contracts start expiring, when their core starts getting older, and they need to retool. And the Bucks need to retool now while looking ahead to the future. And having 2 first-round picks in this year's draft via the Oklahoma City Thunder would allow the Bucks to look towards the future and the here and now as they rebuild the roster around Giannis and while we wait for Dame to get healthy and back on the basketball court towards the tail end of the regular season. But I guess the 2 concerns I have with trading for draft picks, which I would love those draft picks, but do I really trust? I like John Horst as a GM when it comes to making trades, signing some free agents to fill out the roster. But do I really trust John Horst when it comes to drafting? And I know the Bucks have been drafting late first round, second round recently, but when they've had first round picks, it's been a lot of swing and misses. Marjan Beauchamp, Jordan Nwora, a lot of misses. And I could go on and on and on of other guys that missed. Thon Maker, DJ Wilson, just a lot of guys that they took a swing on and they missed on. So do I really trust John Horst in getting the draft picks right? Now, I'd still do the trade, even if I don't necessarily trust John Horst. But the other problem I have is, do I trust Doc Rivers, who will clearly be the head coach again in the 2025-2026 season? Do I really trust Doc Rivers developing and playing young talent? It took a lot for Doc Rivers to start inserting A.J. Green into the lineup, Ryan Rollins into the lineup more frequently, Jericho Sims into the lineup more frequently, Kevin Porter Jr. into the lineup more frequently. It took some injuries and other issues for Doc Rivers to finally say, you know what, I need to play these guys more. And A.J. Green started the year prior when he first came in as Bucs head coach. But do I really trust Doc Rivers to develop and play the young talent the minutes that they need so that come second half of the year, later in the year, that they're ready to play a big role? The NBA is a changing landscape. You look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, they have one superstar and a bunch of very good players around him. The Indiana Pacers have 0 superstars. Sorry, Tyrese Halliburton fans. I don't consider him a superstar yet. He's an ascending into that superstar range, but I don't consider him a true superstar yet. But you have a bunch of very good players and a bunch of very good role players for both teams in the NBA Finals right now. You don't have these super teams where you have 3 all-star players like you've had in the past, like with LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh. You with the NBA collective bargaining agreement, that is a joke to me with the second apron. You're going to have to build teams more like Oklahoma City and the Indiana Pacers have, where you have guys that have, very good role players. They know their job. They do it well to go along with your Giannis and your Dame. So that's all I wanted to say on the Bucs. And now Caitlin Clark. I'm getting frustrated. Caitlin Clark is a great basketball player. She is becoming, if not already, the face of the WNBA. She gets people talking about the WNBA no matter what. She could cough and people would be clamoring about the WNBA and her. But what's frustrating is there's a lot of Caitlin Clark fans that clearly have never watched the game of basketball before Caitlin Clark. They've definitely never watched the WNBA pre-Caitlin Clark. Because anytime somebody does or says or does, whatever, remotely towards Caitlin Clark in a negative way, it's automatically, why are you trying to ruin your league like this? This is unacceptable. These people need to be kicked out of the league. Look, Caitlin Clark got a hand in the face. It was called a technical foul. It was addressed, and I believe she ended up getting fined. Somebody bumped into her after she got up, and there was a bit of a scuffle. Guess what? Scuffles happen in basketball more often than people realize. Teams are playing Caitlin Clark extremely physical right now. And when you play somebody very physical, you're going to get hands to the face. You're going to get screened pretty hard. And that's when it's up to the officials to officiate accordingly to avoid the scuffles that we saw at the end of the Fever game the other night. But Caitlin Clark doesn't get any special treatment when she's on that basketball court. She plays the game of basketball just like Sabrina, just like, all the other players that were there before her, and she might get screened hard, hit with a hard screen at times, or you might get a hand in the face every now and then. But I don't think it's a malicious intent to try to knock her out of the league and injure her, or there's a massive conspiracy against her because they don't like her or they're jealous of her. Those are all things I've seen on social media. Every time anything involving her happens in a negative light, those are what all people say. And the reason why teams play Caitlin Clark physical is that she's a spot-up shooter. She's looking for an open look for your three. So let's get in her face. Let's get in her grill. And I don't know if the same people that are jumping up and down anytime somebody, quote-unquote, wrongs Caitlin Clark. But look back to the Michael Jordan in his early career with the Bad Boy Pistons. they were knocking him to the ground every chance they got because they were playing him physical. Jordan adapted. The NBA helped by modifying their rules to you don't have as much physical play as you used to in the 80s and early 90s. But Jordan adapted his game. He became a more all-around offensive weapon. Caitlin Clark's going to have to do the same. And if and when there are situations where Caitlin Clark is fouled hard, then it's up to the officials on the court to determine if it's a flagrant or technical, and that's ultimately what they did on the other night with the hand to the face, and then the and I put it more as a flop, but she got bumped into and fell to the floor. We don't have to kick them out of the game because they're too physical with Caitlin Clark. No, it's basketball. Basketball is physical. Sometimes it gets too physical. We see it in the NBA. We see it in college. We see it in high school. It's up to the officials to police what's going on the court, and maybe the officials let it get a little too out of hand in that particular game, as we saw what happened at the end with Sophie Cunningham. But overall, Caitlin Clark's not asking for any special treatment. She's not going to the media and crying about it. So she doesn't need her white and shining armors to come running to her rescue because they're thinking the rest of the WNBA is being racist against her and they're jealous of her. As Caitlin Clark said after that particular game, I just want to talk about basketball. I don't want to talk about all the extra pushing and shoving and all that stuff. I just want to talk about the game we just played. And I agree with her. We need to talk about basketball. So, thank you for watching Talking Sports with Evan. The podcast version will be available as soon as I download it and hit stop and then download it on this live stream. Again, new show Tuesday night. We'll be live on X at Evan with Sports, live on YouTube and Facebook, Talking Sports with Evan. Follow, like, subscribe, and don't miss out on any future episodes. We'll be talking with Danny Zielinski about the upcoming Major League Baseball draft and guys to keep an eye on if you are a Brewer fan. Thank you for watching. This has been Talking Sports with Evan. I will get back at you on Tuesday. Until then, enjoy the rest of the weekend. If you're in one of these extreme heat warning states like I am, stay hydrated and try to stay cool. Have a good rest of your weekend, everybody.